Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. I can't believe this is the second to last Faith Groups video that we're doing for these seasons of Advent and Christmas, and it's fitting because next Sunday, when the final video is posted, is the Feast of the Epiphany, and the day after that, we celebrate the baptism of Jesus, which officially ends the Christmas season. So it worked out really nicely. Happy New Year. Hope everyone's doing well. Um, and thanks for doing this with me for this whole entire season. Um, it's also the feast of the Mary Mother of God today. I have a special love for this feast because of my background as what I call an ex-evangelical and my degree in theology, which I spent an entire class on the Christological controversies. Christology is the study of Jesus, of the natures of Jesus. And so I had an entire class on the controversies of the nature of Jesus, and it was one of my favorite times. If you read the newsletter that got sent out on Saturday, you got a brief background in the Council of Ephesus. If you listen to Father Alex's homily this weekend, then you got a little background on the Council of Ephesus and the argument about calling Mary the Mother of God. It really came down to the question, did Mary give birth to Jesus Christ, the God man, or did she just give birth to his human nature? Did she give birth to his divinity or not? Jesus has two natures, divine and human. And because those natures can't be separated, they can't be mixed up or divided or combined. Um, and because Mary gave birth to a person, not a nature, which is kind of an abstract theological concept, the Council Fathers concluded that Mary can be called the Mother of God and that those who disagreed would be excommunicated. If Jesus is God, which he is, then Mary, his mother, is the Mother of God. And this is a relatively young feast. It's not even 100 years old. I think it was declared for the universal calendar in 1931. But it was celebrated world over for hundreds of years before then. Christians have always called Mary the Mother of God. We also note today is the day of Jesus' naming and circumcision, the 8th day after his birth, the 8th day of Christmas. In Jewish theology, the 8th day after birth is the day in which the child is named, given a name, and embraced into the Jewish people. They've now survived the first 8 days of life. They're now a member of the Jewish people. And on the 8th day, the boys undergo the physical circumcision. It's the physical mark and sign of the covenant that Abraham underwent, right? They're given their name. And some schools of Jewish thought even believe that it's on the 8th day of life that the baby is given their soul. So the 8th day is of huge, huge importance. So we celebrate that today, which also, loops back to Mary's motherhood. And Mary, the Mother of God, kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. I just picture the look on her face, enthroned as the Queen of Heaven. The Council of Ephesus is happening, and I just picture the look on her face as this conversation is happening. When all of these men are sitting around and debating what Mary gave birth to, did she give birth to a person or just a nature? And it kills me that no one in this council thought to go ask a woman or a mother, right? It was just, as per usual, it was just the men talking or sitting around talking about this. No one thought to go ask a woman. Any woman at this council or a mother at this council would have shut the debate down immediately because, of course, women give birth to people. But instead, they spent all this time and energy on the question, and it just kills me. It just kills me. And on this first day of the new year, sorry, I'm moving my notes. This first day of the new year, we look forward to new beginnings. We're hopeful that this year will be better than the last. I especially am hoping that this year will be better than the last. The chosen people were looking forward to a new beginning in the same way. They were looking forward to the promised lands when Aaron and his sons called down God's blessing and grace and peace upon them. The shepherds realized a new beginning was taking place in Bethlehem when the angel came to them, and they hurried to visit the newborn king and to see him for their own eyes. The home session for faith formation families for this month was to actually watch the first episode of the series, The Chosen. And it's called The Shepherd. And it's about the birth of Jesus, but it follows this shepherd. And to see this story, to witness these events through the eyes of this shepherd. And shepherds were already people that were they weren't ostracized, but they were kind of outsiders, right? Like they were smelly. They lived in the hill country. They didn't live in the city with all the rest of the folks. They were just kind of alone with their animals. And so they were just kind of odd. So to see this story, to see these events through the eyes of a shepherd, and not only a shepherd, but a lame shepherd, this man has an issue with his leg, and he walks with a crutch. It's quite beautiful, and you can find that episode online really easily. It's just The Chosen, the Shepherd. So I had the Faith Formation families watch this first episode. It's about 20 minutes, and to witness like the awe on these men's faces, going into these stories like in Ignatian prayer, putting yourself in these stories and just letting your imagination wander in these stories is also really, really helpful, because we've all heard the biblical account 1,000 times, right? And so it's kind of lost its novelty. But to see it anew, as a shepherd who's been visited by the angel, and I really love the way they show the angel and the heavenly host visiting these shepherds, because you don't hear any words. You hear like heavenly music, and you hear this language that doesn't make any sense, and you see this bright light. And for me, that's exactly how it would have been. I really think that if the angel appeared to the shepherds understood, but anyone else would not have seen or heard or understood what was going on. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. If you want a new way to look at the biblical account of Jesus's birth, go watch that episode. It's quite beautiful. So this shepherd that is following, he's seeing a new beginning, right? He's overjoyed. It's really incredible to watch. They hurry there to see the newborn king, and then they leave and they go out and they tell everybody. Another side tangent here. The movie Risen, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. At one point, I think it's Bartholomew, he's being questioned by a Roman centurion. And he tells the centurion, like, if you let me go, I will tell you where Jesus's disciples are. And he's like, okay, so tell me where Jesus's disciples are. And he leans in and he goes, they're everywhere. And like that joy and that kind of like gotcha, I think, I don't know, I think we've kind of lost that at this day and age, but like that new beginning and that joy, even when we're being questioned, like that joy is something that really needs to live in us. And the shepherds are Jesus's first evangelizers, right? They proclaim the good news of great joy given to them by the angels. And the irony is the first people they tell are Mary and Joseph themselves, and Mary and Joseph already know. But now they realize that this good news is already spreading. Like Mary and Joseph are like, oh my gosh, like this is spreading. It's going everywhere. By now they realize that it's going through the countryside, and it gives them great joy to hear that it's bringing other people great joy. Just as we treasure the memories of, wonderful events, but the way that they were shared among our loved ones, Mary treasured all of these things in her heart. She embraced the new beginnings her life had taken after she was visited by the angel. She embraced the new beginnings when the angel told Joseph not to fear and to take her into his home. She's this family that she and Joseph have created, that God has created for her. And she exclaims all these things when she visits Elizabeth and sings her song, "My soul proclaims the greatness of the Lord." So may we look forward to new beginnings, because we have a God who blesses us and keeps us. His face shines upon us. He keeps us and gives us his peace. So like the chosen people, we're called to reflect upon all that God has done for us. Like the shepherds were called to this awe and this amazement and this evangelization of the fulfilled promises. All of creation contained in this little child. And like Mary, we're called to reflect on love and what that means, and how can we love each other better as we enter into this new year. So happy New Year, happy feast day, happy be like the shepherds. Be joyful like the shepherds. Sometimes it can be really hard to be joyful, but no matter what happens to us, this truth remains, is that God became man. He came in a little child. He was born of a woman. Mary brought this God man to us. So no matter what happens to us, that truth remains. So I hope you find joy in that. And I hope you have a great week. So God bless.